Right now, America is facing three major issues with this war in Iran. The first major issue is the lack of political will, meaning that this war is very unpopular in America. Only 40% of the population currently support this war, and as things go on and on, support will probably decrease. Okay? You need political will because you need Americans to pay for this war. Trump has asked for $200 billion to fund this war, and also it's possible that Trump will call the natural draft, which I believe will happen. Okay, so if Americans don't want to support this war, it's very hard to get them to pay for this war and to go fight this war. Second problem is lack of manufacturing capacity. So in other words, what this means is that if you lose planes, if you use too many bombs, you cannot replenish it because you don't have the factories to produce these planes and bombs quickly enough. Okay? And so if this war drags on too long, then America will just run out of bombs. Now, and the third problem for America is unwillingness to sustain casualties. Okay? And what this means is that the American military is afraid of reporting deaths, casualties, which is weird because in a war, soldiers die. That's just the reality of war. But the Pentagon is afraid of reporting too many deaths because of the fair political backlash. Okay? So these are three major problems for the American military in Iran. These are the three major constraints. All right? So the Americans can actually resolve these issues, and America will probably lose this war, in which case this gives opportunity for Israel to prove to the world that it should be the empire, okay? And it proves it can be the empire by showing that it does have the political will, it doesn't have the manufacturing capacity, but that's Mossad, okay? And it is much more strategic. The last thing is that it is resilient, meaning that it is willing to accept casualties, okay? So basically, the idea here is the global elite, they need an empire to provide the muscle, but the empire must prove that it can serve the needs of the global elite, okay? And so an empire must prove three things. First of all, it must prove unity. It must prove it has the resources and the capacity, basically the capacity, okay? And it must prove determination. All right? So to understand this idea, let's just do a thought experiment. Right? Let's just say that we're venture capitalists. We have billions of dollars, we have trillions of dollars, and we want to invest in a company. Okay? So we're approached by two companies. Company A, Company B. Okay? So Company A comes to us and says that, look, I have 100 companies, and they're all profitable. Okay? I don't have a business plan, but I have lots and lots of resources, and I have a lot of experience and a lot of skill. And so if I were to invest in another company, I'm sure it'll make a lot of money. Okay? All right? So skills and experience. That is Company A. Company B is these young guys, and they failed, okay? But they're like, you know what? We're gonna put our heart and soul into this enterprise. We're going to work 16 hours a day, every day for as long as it takes. And we won't stop, okay? Even if this company is successful, we're gonna keep on going because it's our passion. And if this company fails, then we're bankrupt. We might kill ourselves, all right? So if you are the venture capitalists, do you put your money in A or do you put your money in B? Now, most people would put their money in A because they think it is low risk. But if you're a smart venture capitalist, you put your money in B because it's high reward. Okay? So company A already has 100 companies that are successful. People in the company don't really care if this new enterprise is successful or not. Who cares, right? I can afford to lose. In which case, it's more likely the company A steals your money than actually invests it properly. Whereas company B is going to be the opposite, where this is their last chance. If they take your money, they're going to make sure that they grow it. Because if they don't grow it, then they themselves die. Okay? So you need these things. You need unity, capacity, and determination. Do you understand? And so what issue is doing really, it's basically auditioning to the world, we are ready to replace America. We are ready to be the new empire. Okay? All right. So let's look at what's happening. America has this MIC. And so the MIC, military industrial complex, what they're good at doing is producing very expensive weapon systems. But unfortunately, when you actually put these weapon systems into war, it doesn't really do anything, okay? So this is the Patriot missile system that's supposed to protect the GCC in Israel and the American military bases from Iranian drones and missiles. Guess what, guys? Doesn't really work, okay? In fact, as you can see from the video, the Iranians can basically fly drones anywhere in the Middle East, and the Americans can't really stop them. All right, so this is billions of dollars, doesn't really do anything. This is called the F-35. The F-35 is the most advanced fighter jet in the whole world. It has stealth technology, meaning you can't actually lock onto it using radar. This cost $100 million each. Took 26 years to develop. So you would think, wow, it took 26 years, so this must be really, really good. No, it took 26 years because the MIC is really corrupt and they want to steal as much money as possible. Okay? And in this war, the Iranians have already shot down at least one of these jets. Okay? This is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be able to shoot these things down. But Iranians have shot it down using very low radar. Again, these things, they're not designed to win wars. They're designed to steal as much money as possible from the American taxpayer. Okay? Now, last example is the Gerald Ford. This ship cost $13 billion. It cost $13 billion. The annual defense budget for the Iranians is $10 billion. It goes into the war theater, and 3 weeks afterwards, it has to run away, okay? And in fact, the Americans say, oh, the Gerald Ford, this is the most advanced supercarrier in the world. It's probably going to be down for repairs for the next 2 years. And there's argument as to what happened, okay? There are 3 different possibilities. The first possibility is that there was an accident in the laundry room, and there's a fire, and this fire spread throughout the carrier, okay? Which means that actually the carrier is not very resilient. Okay, so that's one possibility. And that's what the official story is. But there are also others who say like the Iranians hit the ship with a missile. And so the Gerald Ford can't protect itself from Iranian missiles, so it ran away. Okay? The third possibility, the third explanation is the Pentagon recognized that there are severe limitations of the Gerald Ford in actual combat operations. Its radar, its guidance system are all very limited. So the Pentagon withdrew the Gerald Ford because it was absolutely useless in war. Right? Whichever story is true, it doesn't paint a good picture of the American military. $13 billion. And this does nothing. Okay? It's just a white elephant.